So I asked AI, what are some difficult topics related to intentional communities? Because I have a whole book. I think it's, I forgot the name of it. Living in Community, something. Anyway, I'm going to do a book review on that later. It's fairly simplistic, but one of the things I want to do is directly address things other people don't talk about. Because I remember in that book, as I read it some years ago, quite a few, that it glossed over a lot of stuff. And I'm less interested in communities can be cool, yay, than I am how do they become messed up. And if I'm going to make videos about that and talk about it, it's going to be controversial topics that are going to upset people. Because some people have their vision of what a community should be or shouldn't be, and many of them don't know what they're talking about. And so right there, we're going to have a disconnect. And some of them are just really hard topics we all deal with. Whether we're in an intentional community or not, we are in communities. I am in a community with this town that is near me, that I'm at right now. And I have relationships with that town and the people there. And so I luckily don't have conflicts locally that I know of. I'm sure, many individuals have different views of me, but I'm just this weird dude that lives out in the forest and then comes into town sometimes. And anyway, so AI is also controversial. It's a tool that many people are afraid of. People say a lot of shit about it, but as a creative tool, I think it's useful. So it gave me a good answer. It defines what communities are and the types of them a little bit. And I'm going to mention the topics it mentioned because I need to make videos about each one of these. And I would like your feedback on what you're interested in regarding those things. You may have ideas about how communities can function better in a more intentional way. Number one is decision making and consensus. My general thoughts on that are that decisions should already be made before the community even starts. Don't get a bunch of people together who don't agree with each other and then try and hash it out and figure it out. You're already starting with conflict and disagreement. And people's views vary widely. Like, you have to follow my God, or this is how we raise children, or this is how we eat. We got to all be vegan, or whatever. So you're just setting yourself up for conflict if you get people together and the decisions aren't already largely made. Because one of the criticisms I would have of communities is that they have to have constant meetings to hash stuff out, and they pretend that they have consensus decision making, but really it's a bunch of underlying bullying and people actually kind of running things. There was an interesting show recently. It was The Garden, Cult or Commune, on the Discovery Channel, and it was kind of pretty fake. It was reality TV, It wasn't the original site, so what they did was they got different land and moved the people there, and then they brought in special people, Discovery cast people, to be members of the community and join it. And of course there's conflict and all this stuff. And one of the common lies that was told in that, I watched all the episodes of it, and then I'm also on 2 Facebook groups to discuss that particular show. One of them, which was people who kind of control that environment, and the other one is people who didn't fit in with it and were part of the other side of the conflict. All that shit is just designed for, making an entertaining thing for you. But I would like to skip that part because their consensus decision making was total bullshit. It was definitely some people have the actual authority. Some people are the loud ones pushing shit. And I read a lot about The Garden, and I read in these Facebook groups, and it's just I don't believe in it. I think we have to make the model of what we believe, how we want to live, our lifestyle, and then people are signing a social contract when they join that. That gets rid of a huge percentage of your conflicts. That's my general thoughts. Number 2 here is conflict resolution. There'll still be conflicts. We can definitely get into more detail about how we agree to interact interpersonally and not have big conflicts, hopefully, but they will occur. People will lie. They will still do things that are destructive to the group or even threaten the group, regardless of what they said they agreed to. So we may need good skills at that, but I think if you gather people and they're all on board for that, they're all on board for self-reflection, self-development, that we're way ahead of most people, So we can do better. Resource management, absolutely important. And I talk a lot about that, about water use and land use and soil and plants and where does our food come from. And we can generally agree to try and live in a simpler way, but still comfortably. Because sometimes when I talk about living off grid and stuff like that, people are like, oh my God, I couldn't handle that. It would be too uncomfortable. And they're right in my case. Most people could not handle living the way I do. I can't even barely handle it, and I'm not even in support of it. I am not an example of how we should be living. I'm an example of protecting a forest and trying to figure some shit out while hopefully making contact with anybody that can tolerate me and I can tolerate them. And hopefully we can actually have fulfilling interactions as well. But resource management has to be absolutely figured out. Another one is membership and turnover. And that absolutely has to be figured out as well. You know, systems for recruiting people, systems for, like my place may end up being a place people come into and they're being trained and experimenting with different ways of living in various ways. And then those people meet each other, then they go off and form their own communities that are longer term, more functional, because those are people who are in agreement on a whole bunch of stuff. So I could be an intermediary stage. I am now with the stuff I publish. I'm bringing up the issues we have to figure out, and I'm not always presenting an answer because I may not have a good answer. I may even tell you conflicting things. I'm a conflicted person. How could I not be? I'm trying to figure out how to make an alternative to a complex world. It's not that easy. And I'm not claiming to follow any God. I'm not claiming to be an authority. And so that's also difficult, because if you do that, then you only collect people who will follow that authority. But I think that's a cop-out. We have to create systems that don't need a leader, that don't need a me. In fact, I don't know that a community should have a leader.